Story now. General Motors has confirmed that it will cut 10,000 jobs across Europe at its Opel unit. Workers in Germany say they will protest the decision. This comes a day after GM abandoned plans to sell Opel to a consortium of Canadian firm Magna and Russia's Sberbank. Laura Emmett has more.
No sale. General Motors has backed out of selling its European brands Vauxhall and Opel to a joint venture between Russia's biggest bank Sberbank and Canadian car parts manufacturer Magna. The deal, only finalised in September, was overturned in a 6-hour board meeting on Tuesday night.
Now the dangers really are what happens next. General Motors clearly needs funding for its European operations. It cannot fund them from the US. So this problem is in a sense heightened rather than weakened, because whatever occurs, General Motors needs additional funding. To do that, whether it takes out jobs, whether it takes out costs, it's going to need government help.
Got a little surprise for you, son.
No, Dad! Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I am. You're not getting a Porsche.
Let me tell you something, son. A driver don't pick the cars. Cars pick the driver. It's a mystical bond between man and machine.
Reaction from interested parties has been unequivocal, with Prime Minister Putin expressing surprise and announcing his office will look into the legality of the move. Russia would have inherited much-needed technology and experience from the deal to rejuvenate its own ailing motor industry.
What you're about to see is totally classified.
Dear God, what is this?
Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel has called the back-out totally unacceptable. The country has demanded the repayment of a $2.2 billion bridging loan from the German taxpayer. The money was controversial in that it was meant to safeguard German jobs if the sale went through. German workers promised strikes in the face of renewed uncertainty. What's brought instability in Germany, however, has brought relief in the UK. Although jobs will still be lost, British unions are more confident about keeping both Britain's GM plants.
We feel that it's a better deal for us, possibly secure UK jobs, better than what the Magna deal would have done. And it's nice that the fact that we'll stay under the GM umbrella, which are people that we know, we've worked with closely in the past, and hopefully we'll work closely with them again.
But not everyone sees the turnaround in such a positive light.
The significant thing is that it really means that there is much less money available for Opel to invest, and that's going to have a big effect on the jobs in Opel companies both in the UK and in Europe. So I think it's significantly bad news.
In a statement, Business Secretary Lord Mandelson said the UK government will offer its support to an appropriate deal. Mandelson's European counterparts are likely to follow suit if GM can come up with a plan that redistributes job cuts more evenly all over Europe. And those job cuts currently look like the only certainty. Here at GM's plant in Luton, the news that the sale to Magna and Sberbank won't go ahead has been greeted warmly, unlike in Germany. But the future of this plant is by no means clear. GM will now restructure its European business, and some experts say this assembly line will close within 2 years. Laura Emmett, RT, Luton.
It's a robot, you know, like a super advanced robot. It's probably Japanese.
What's behind the decision to reject the deal? Is there anything besides economic reasons?
Well, Andrea Merkel got hoodwinked. Andrea Merkel should now realize that the Obama administration is no friend of German industry. What's behind this turnaround is that America is an economy that relies strictly on financing and cheap money and artificially low interest rates. Whereas in Germany, of course, they still have unions and jobs. And that doesn't go well if you're a bank on Wall Street or you're General Motors, which is mostly owned by the American government, and you're looking to just spin assets and create financial events for the banks on Wall Street. Remember, the banks on Wall Street run the show, and Merkel got hoodwinked. Andrea Merkel got absolutely slapped in the face by American banks and the Obama administration, and that's the way it goes, Andrea Merkel. If you want to play with the big boys, you've got to learn that these types of things happen.
What does this 10,000 job cut mean for General Motors in Europe?
That means that a lot of Europeans are going to lose their jobs because America doesn't value jobs. American banks don't value unions. American banks only value deals, transactions, and money. And these are 10,000 sacrificial lambs to help Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan pay off huge Christmas bonuses, not this year, but probably next year. Remember, Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan have to think about next year's Christmas bonuses. So if 10,000 German workers have to lose their jobs so that Goldman can afford their yacht payments next year, that's the way it goes. That's the way this global economy works when it's run by charlatans on Wall Street.
You come from a family of thieves and butchers. And now, like all guilty men, you try to rewrite your own history. And you forget all the lives the Stark family has destroyed. There will be blood in the water, and the sharks will come.
So we can see any other deals anytime soon. So can they change their decision now?
Well, this whole deal was hatched during a period when it looked like the global casino economy was going to falter. Remember, it was only a year ago when Hank Paulson went to Congress in Washington and extorted $700 billion from Congress because these banks were running out of money. But now, since that time, the U.S. has given these banks the equivalent of $23 trillion in subsidies and guarantees. So now they have the war chest to go back and look at a deal that was hatched during a period of duress and forget that deal, and they are reneging on that deal. And Andrea Merkel looks like an idiot because she has been basically hoodwinked by these banks, and I'm not sure they have no recourse because, of course, the banks have huge tentacles that reach into the German economy, and Deutsche Bank and other German financial institutions are controlled in large part by Wall Street. So she doesn't really have any recourse. She, unfortunately, looks very foolish in this deal, but, you know, she should work on Wall Street because and learn how the game is played before she attempts to do business with a company like General Motors, which is owned 60% by the U.S. government.
are the winners and losers in GM pulling out of the Opel sale? Angela Merkel called the rejection of a deal a defeat, but she didn't specify who exactly was defeated.
The winners are going to be the bankers, of course, because they're going to have a new toy to strip the assets, fire workers, raid the pension accounts, engage in all kinds of transactions. The bankers win. The losers are the workers and the unions, of course. In America, for example, where General Motors is based, there is no union representation to speak of. The wages are collapsing. Everyone's being put out onto really a model of they're restarting the plantation model in America, where people are working for subsistence, where they don't even have living wages anymore. Something like 25% of American children are now on food stamps. You've got U.S. pilots in America on food stamps. And so in Germany, and with Angela Merkel, she doesn't understand that in America they don't respect workers, they don't respect unions, and she's thinking in terms of jobs and creating an export economy. But this is not what America wants, and America wants to be able to slice and dice and strip this asset for all it's worth. They'll resell it again within 6 months, and it'll be sold again in 12 months, because that's what they're good at. They're simply doing transactions for the sake of transactions. The workers have to be sacrificed in the U.S. economic model, and Angela Merkel did not put in sufficient safeguards to protect her and Opel from the predators on Wall Street. So now hopefully she'll learn her lesson, and she'll be a little bit more cautious before she does any more business with the Obama administration.
And from your point of view, what's the outlook for Opel? Many European experts call this decision a mistake. What's your opinion?
Well, the outlook for Opel is once it gets back under the umbrella of the predators in the U.S. and on Wall Street, the outlook will probably, what will happen is that undoubtedly, once they reclaim some of the technology, the small engine technology that people are talking about, they can somehow reclaim some of the rights to that technology. I would imagine that within a year, the whole thing will be sold to another country, again, for another fee, of course.
We're under attack!
We're facing war against a technological civilization far superior to our own. Our enemy can take any shape. They could be anywhere.
Remember, this is just a piece on the monopoly board. The workers and the people who work there have no rights.
Mr. Keiser, we're running out of time. Thank you very much for your analysis. That was Max Keiser.